morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this. This is the Rural Survival Show with Rick Schmidt and Tim Spencer. I'm Tim Spencer. There's Rick. Anyway, we're going to talk about several things today, but first, before I forget it, I want to mention our weekly drill down interview for this week was with Jeff Nyquist. You can watch it, the video before this one on this channel. If you want to really know what's going on in Ukraine, watch this interview. It's about an hour, but it's really, really good, and I don't think you'll get bored with it. Okay, this is Thursday, the 14th of July, 2022. This video is for publication on Saturday, 16 July, 2022. This is season 1, episode 3. So, with all that put aside, all the admin taken care of, let's go ahead and start with Rick. Rick has some gardening stuff, and I think we're going to talk about some economics. So, where do you want to start, Rick?
You go ahead and let's talk about the inflation rate.
Okay.
And the never-ending warnings that we're going to have food shortages, and of course you've heard all this before, and I get overly sensitive when I feel like we're being somewhat redundant. And then again, if you've ever been really hungry, I don't want to see that. So the new inflation rate, the new fake, the new official. It's official. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The official rate is 9.1. If you've been anywhere at all, if you've tried to buy food or gasoline, you know that's a load of crap.
Right.
It might be 9.1 for Joe Biden. Maybe that's the inflation rate on champagne or something. I don't know what that's supposed to represent, but it doesn't look to me like it represents anything that I buy. I guess before we leave this particular subject and talk about the warnings, nuclear war warnings, you were the one that sent me that public service announcement from New York City, weren't you, Tim?
Yes. And they are playing that currently in New York City. The question is why after 50 years? Now, I think I know why.
Right.
Because when the balloon goes up, candle gets lit, there's a million euphemisms for it. But basically, when a warhead goes off, not everybody's going to die. There's politicians in New York City that don't want to be blamed after the fact for not warning people. Now, the public service announcement that they run and the advice that they give is absolutely useless. It is truly useless. You saw it.
When we were young, when we had the Cold War on the TV all the time, and they had two scenarios. One, a kid's riding down the street on a bicycle, and he throws himself on his side, puts his head on the curb, and puts his hands over his head, because everybody knows a child's hands can stop a nuclear blast. The other one was that you're in school and everybody's under their desk now, because one of those little desks, they also will protect you from a nuclear blast. You will no longer be atomized.
Right.
So, yeah,
I like
and then
the
of
one,
course,
the
there's
cartoon with the remember the cartoon with the turtle? Do you remember that one?
no,
Yeah,
nope,
turtle going down the lane.
no, I don't.
Somebody hangs a firecracker down on a string right above it. He pulls into a shell before it goes off and lives happily ever after. And of course, to the duck and cover song.
Well, he probably never came out on the 4th of July ever
No,
again. That probably put him off on our nation's birthday. So, with respect to inflation, what we have here is auto sales, the worst auto sales in 25 years, of course.
yeah,
That's you can't sell cars to people who don't have jobs, who are struggling to buy necessities, and they claim what? They claim 9.1%, and I guarantee that is not what is keeping people from being able to afford gasoline and food. Um,
right.
it's something in the mid 20s. Every time, this is interesting to me, every time they raise the interest rate by 1%, they lower housing demand by 10.4%.
Correct.
So that means to this point, they have raised 3% now, and that means they have lowered the interest in purchasing houses by more than 30%. The Let me check. The Canadian Central Bank raised interest rates by 1%.
Right.
One full percent, which sent the market into a tizzy. It looks like it's recovering. Right now, it's only down about 400. Earlier, it was down between 6 and 7. Because, of course, what what the market assumes now is that we're next, that we will go 1 full point.
Correct.
The statistics, when they poll likely voters, topic number 1 is inflation.
Right.
So even though the Fed can't do anything at all to control inflation, their paltry, impotent little rate hikes cannot begin to control the inflation that they caused. But they need the optics. They have got to make the appearance that they're making an effort. And believe me, this is nothing but window dressing. And as we've said before on this show, whether it was on YouTube or RBN, in order for them to quell inflation, they have to move the interest rate to above the inflation rate. The real inflation rate is in the 20s.
Right.
They won't even be able to raise the interest rates to 3, 4, 5. They're not going to be able to do this
because credit is already drying up significantly.
Right. Yes.
And so if you raise it to 5%, there will be no credit.
There will be no credit available to anybody for any reason, and people will not purchase money at those rates.
Right.
And the money that is out there in the form of debt will become completely unserviceable. Nobody is going to be able to service a debt at 5%, 10%, 15%.
No.
It cannot be done. So I'm not going to chase that rabbit down the hole because no one cares. We need to be practical here. We we need to speak in terms of what this is going to mean to the average person, because I imagine most people looking here are average people,
Right.
Who are trying to get by. There has been so much money printed, and it's an interesting math problem. They claim that inflation is nothing more than too much money chasing too few goods. It can also be that's the common definition. It can be too much money chasing the goods that are here, not too few goods, but just what's there.
Right.
Rafi Farber suggested that if you took the available goods, the goods and services available today, and you smeared that extra cash, the available money supply, over the whole mess, that you will wind up with gasoline that is 3 times higher than it is now. Right. You'll have that much money chasing a finite gas supply, a finite food supply, a fixed everything, whether it's tools or whatever it is, your clothing, doesn't matter. But another interesting thing I would like to mention is that, and I'm not going to talk about what the wealthy have been doing, because it looks like they're moving large amounts of money into areas where they can purchase hard assets like land, art, gold, metals, silver. Yeah, something like that. But the more interesting chart is the average human being moving large sums of money suddenly into checking accounts.
Yes, I saw that.
This would be to buy, this would be to fund immediate needs like gasoline and food.
Right.
Maybe clothing, but my guess is it's going to be food and gas first.
Consumables.
And then there will be, and then there will be a pecking order. And when you get to discretionary things like holes in your underwear, you're just going to pass. Right. You're going to wait. You'll buy those when you can, if you can. The 4th of July picnic inflation meter does exist. So does Puxatani Phil.
Right.
So even though you might have thought this wasn't true, it does. And I'm going to read some highlights from this year's 4th of July party.
Okay.
8 hamburger buns was $1.66 last year, now $2.58.
Yeah.
Up 55%. 2 pounds of ground beef was $8, now $9.14, up 12%. 2 pound, I guess some people eat chicken on the 4th of July. Was $6.50, now $9.50, because they murdered all the chickens. And if you don't have any chickens, it makes the price go up 41% on the chicken. 2.5 pounds of potato salad, up 36%. 1 pound of cheese, in case you're a cheeseburger person, 23% up. And 2.5 quarts of lemonade, up about 25%. So your 4th of July picnic costs you 33% more this year than it did last year. So if you want to believe the horse hockey that inflation is 9.1, you go ahead. But if you ate anything at all on the 4th of July, it didn't work that way for you. You paid a third more than you did last year.
Well, actually, we had ground deer meat and put a little lard in it and made hamburgers out of that, and used regular bread for hamburger buns. And that was our 4th of July.
Well, okay. That and maybe next year, maybe everybody's 4th of July is going to look like that. I've got deer walking all over the neighborhood in broad daylight, and I'm going to have to deal with it. And I can't think of a better way to deal with it than turning them into dinner.
I agree.
So here's the story about the woodpecker suet. I mentioned earlier that my local farm and home won't carry it. They won't carry it because it went up as high as $40 for a case of it, which I'm not sure I get that. That'd be about $3.50 per cube. $3.50 per cube. I am still getting it at Lowe's for just under $2. But what I did was I went to our local meat processor who processes beef, pigs,
right,
deer, whatever. And I bought 2 10-pound bags of tallow.
There you go.
Tallow, $7.50 for 10 pounds. Okay.
That's not bad.
No. And I use a good grade of chicken pellets, hen pellets. I calculated the whole thing out, including the $6 of gasoline that it cost me to get to the meat processor and back. And my cake of woodpecker suet is 27 cents.
There you go.
That is a far cry from $2.75 to $3.50. So there are ways to solve problems, and if things keep going the way they are, I will be eating that tallow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do enjoy. Yeah, well, I was heating some up earlier because I produced 20 pounds of this stuff and didn't do it very well, and it melts in the sun. In order to keep this stuff from melting in the sun, I was rather hoping that the 5 pounds of chicken pellets would do it, but it didn't do it. So what we have to add is flour.
Okay.
They make what's called a no melt. There's a no melt recipe, and it involves, but they don't use chicken food, which mine is 18% protein.
Right.
So, they were using cornmeal, flour, and oat flakes. Well, I don't want to use that stuff. That's my food.
Right.
I want to keep that stuff for when I'm hungry. So I was just using chicken food, but what we're doing is reheating it and adding the flour, and I think that will make it stable in the sun.
I'm sure.
Although my wife did say, what are you doing that smells like French fries? And I said, well, that's because that's how, until they got caught, that's how McDonald's was cooking fries, was in tallow. And according to all reports, they were the best fries on the planet. But the soy boys and the latte ladies started complaining, and they wanted something healthier like Crisco, and now they're all dead because they ate Crisco fries. So a couple of quick notes here from the garden. And I mentioned this before, but I am absolutely blown away, and I do need to get you a decent picture. I took a couple pictures of the Hossinator 2255 production tomatoes. Frightening plants. I've never seen a tomato plant do what this plant is doing. Cool. I have never seen this many green tomatoes on a plant ever. And what I decided to do was to, as I start taking these tomatoes off, I am going to weigh them all. And I want to know, I've got 3 Hossinator 2255s side by side, and I want to measure and see what weight comes off what production in terms of pounds comes off of each one of these plants.
Right.
I want to know. So as I take them, I will weigh them. I will add them up, bearing in mind that this is a determinate tomato, meaning that it has a limited lifespan.
Right.
By August or so, the plant should be played out. So the experiment won't go on that long. Maybe 6 weeks or so.
Right.
So and I'll get you those numbers. The potato harvest is not looking good. If it is not what I would like, I am going to dig up the potatoes that I have, slice them, dry them again, and put them right back in the ground for some fall potatoes. And I will use those for my seed stock this spring. Rather than eating them, I will use them as seed stock. If you plant fall potatoes, you'll harvest them and they will hold till St. Patrick's Day, which is when we'd be getting them back in the ground. So that's what I'll do with them rather than consuming them. If it's a non-plus crop, I'll use them as seeds. We're harvesting kale, lettuce, beets, all that kind of thing, cucumbers. There is a thing called field heat. And when you go out, you're best harvesting first thing in the morning before the sun really gets up. If you harvest, it doesn't matter whether it's kale, lettuce, anything like that. If you watch it within 5 minutes, it's limp. It looks like it's going to be completely inedible. What I'll do is I will take a 5-gallon bucket with me and I will fill it about halfway up with water and throw ice in it.
That's what my daughter does. Yeah.
Yeah. And we go out, and as I pick, I just plunge it into the ice water. And when I get back to process it, to wash it and spin it, everything looks great. So, be aware of the problem of field heat when you're harvesting your stuff, because now you're probably harvesting. Don't just bring the stuff back when it looks like, the lettuce is dead. Don't do that. There's another thing that's I should mention, and this is timely. There was a woman on the internet who did a fascinating experiment. She could not understand why she followed one pickle recipe after the other, and her pickles were limp. She was not happy with the product. What she did then is she did about 6 experiments, and she came up with the best of the 6, which involves, and you'll have to look this up yourself, it's low temperature pasteurization. She is holding the cukes overnight in brine in the refrigerator, and they're coming out crisp. And then she is using a low temperature pickling process where she is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, holding them at, I think, like 20 minutes at 140 degrees. And she is winding up with a crunchy pickle. Cool. So, if you're not happy with, if you're harvesting cukes and storing them, and I highly suggest you do, if you want to get a crunchier pickle, look up the low temperature pasteurization of cukes, or how to produce crunchy pickles. It's interesting. We've been harvesting 2 kinds of cukes. One is the slicers, the Supremo, and the other was the Max Pack pickling. I personally prefer the pickling size because I can use them for anything.
Right.
I can use them for the salads and also for pickles. Whereas the slicing, the larger, like the cucumbers that are like 8 inches, 10 inches, they don't lend themselves to pickling as well. So here in mid-Missouri, the cucumbers are pretty much played out. So I'm replanting. I've replanted. They're already up, and I will put in. I'm only going to plant Max Packs this time. I'm only going to plant pickling cukes because I'll be able to store them going into the fall. And we all know that keeping cucumbers in the refrigerator is basically a non-starter. They don't hold up at all. They go bad quick unless you do something with them. So that's how we will handle that. We're also just a week or two away from tomato sandwich season. And I feel that it is my responsibility as a Christian to warn you that if you're growing tomatoes, you got to be right on the edge. Don't forget the Duke's mayonnaise. We've got a couple Duke's mayonnaise plants going right now, and they should come around. We should be able to harvest some jars at the same time that the tomatoes come in. And you can do whatever you want. A lot of people just put them on white bread. I like it on light toast, but it's totally up to you. Duke's, pepper and salt. It just doesn't get any better than that. I want to also mention that as we are in another yield curve inversion.
Oh, aren't we? I saw that. 1 year
again
is above 10 year, 20 year is above 30 year.
Right. But it keeps happening. And of course, the Fed is buying their way out of it. They're not going to get away with that forever. They're going to get caught. And some people would suggest at this point that it's a plan, that it's the plan. They're going to go ahead and destroy the dollar.
Well, yeah, they are. I agree with that.
To bring in their new currency, the currency that they will have complete control over. So if you think they're going to cry big crocodile tears when the dollar goes away, no, they are not. They're doing it on purpose, and they got a product they want, they like better, something that they will be able to control every aspect of your life using.
Remember,
sugar is yes, go ahead.
Only 3 years ago, Janet Yellen said on live TV or in an interview that at the time that the dollar was over.
Yeah.
I mean, she flat out said it. It was October 2020 when she said it.
Right.
No,
Barack Obama's treasury genius, I think it was Jack Lew, they call him the loser for obvious reasons. They claim, when he worked on Wall Street, never got anything right, which made him a perfect candidate for the Obama administration. Said that they would, in order to get out of this inflationary situation that we're in, they would burn the dollar. They would destroy the dollar, which is what they'll do.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to get out of this inflationary issue. They will sacrifice the
how
U.S.
they're going to get out of the debt,
which will be interesting because, it's the answer to everything. So if you're thinking that their feelings are going to be hurt when the great they want, so that's what they're going to get. Zimbabwe inflation 191%. So in order to get of it, they moved the interest rate to 200%. That these governments won't do these things, you're wrong. But these are the same people that actually printed
$1 trillion bills,
$100 trillion note.
Yeah,
I think it was 100 trillion is where they stopped. So you have Russia and China both together with the BRICS nations creating their own currency, And what's even more interesting is Saudi Arabia is going along for the ride.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that means the petrodollar is pretty much gone.
Oh, yeah.
And also one more quick note here before we end this segment, this show, is that the Democratic administration sent communications to 22 major carriers, freight carriers,
Right.
and the two that responded the quickest with the most ferocity was Saia and UPS. They will no longer handle, carry, or deliver anything firearms related,
Yeah, I saw that.
ammunition too. If UPS has said if they find any of that left in the system, they'll seize it and destroy it. So if you have a choice of carriers, don't
FedEx
use
is the
UPS.
only one that's agreed to keep carrying firearms and ammunition.
They're the only people that I've ever had carry anything for me that actually broke a piece of cast iron.
Ooh.
I used to use, cast iron oven door. I used to like UPS better. I like their service. And
Yeah.
here's the problem. Here's the problem I see with this is that your local UPS man is a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a Foursquare card carrying Union American, and it's a damn shame to see him caught in the middle of these politics. But we've got the same thing going on with Home Depot. They went woke, they got woke, and now I've got neighbors that will not go to Home Depot, and I've got friends that work at Home Depot, and that's just a damn shame.
Yeah.
So once again, we have a war where the children are getting caught in the middle of all this. You have the once again, the baby goes out with the bathwater, and the Americans pick up the tab. Americans, you and the middle class is being eviscerated. It's being demolished as we speak. And for those of you that think that that's just bullshit, just stay tuned. I think before we get to, I don't know, before we get to Halloween or Thanksgiving, you're going to see that if you haven't noticed things are getting weird, I think it's finally going to get weird enough you're going to notice.
I think so too. Now, here's the thing, Rick. Even in my little local Walmart here, okay, very much insulated and protected from the rest of the world, pretty much. Yeah. I went in there a week ago, and I was noticing canned goods are up by 20%, actually 18%.
Right.
Peanut butter up 50%. Bread up amazing. About 30%. And I'm not worried or scared about it. I'm worried about the extra work. I've got stuff to make bread here. It's not a problem. It's just extra work.
Yeah.
I've got food stored up.
Well, not to interrupt you, but to your point, it takes some effort to stop what I'm doing and make woodpecker suet to save money. So in the convenience, the time saving, I was willing to pay 75 cents for a cube of fat so I didn't have to stop and do it. Right. And then it was $1.75, and then it was $2. And so what we have here is, I'm reaching the point where now, okay, so I make 10 pounds and I don't know how many I should calculate. Um, there was it was one cake of suet is 12 ounces. Okay.
Right.
12 ounces. You're talking you 12 ounces times 12 is 144 ounces of suet. So now I've got to stop and waste my time making bird food.
Right.
So yeah, you can make bread and you can, you know, grow all your own food because it's too expensive.
Right.
And but you know, your time you are spending your time instead of your money, and they say time is money.
It is.
So there you are.
Well, the way I figure it, Rick, if everything goes to hell like that, odds are I won't have a daily job working on the computer. Start with, I'm not going to do it for free, and the money ain't gonna, the money is going to be useless. So unless my various employers want to pay me in food, I'm not going to play. Nothing against them, but why do it?
Right. Well, you remember 100 years ago, we had an agrarian society.
No, that was your time. I wasn't alive 100 years ago.
Right. Well, you can imagine how much smarter I got during all this time.
Yeah.
I've been learning all of this time. But my point would be is, that's when people grew their food.
Yeah.
That's when people fixed everything, or they made it themselves. They were making axe handles and,
Right.
So my point is, so are we about to return to a third world nation where you spend all day long just basically gathering your dinner? Is that where we're going? I guess it is.
I guess I could live with that, actually. I don't want to, but I could live with that. How do I know that? Because I've done it before.
Well, they say these were simpler times, and I guess that's what they were. But that was back when there was back before there wasn't any God. Now, if your God is materialism, if your God is your thumbs, your social credit score, if your God is your communication device,
mine isn't.
Then I guess you're in for a real bullshit time. I guess you're in for a very rude awakening.
I watched my grandson. He did something wrong here a few months ago, and Grandma took away his phone for a week. She could do that because I paid the bill. I honestly thought the kid was going to go nuts.
Right.
I really thought we were going to have to committee.
Oh, there's going to be some very serious withdrawal, and there's going to be, and I think accompanied by violence. I don't think there's any way on this planet you're going to do these things to 9/10 of the population without a recoil, without a very negative response. So anyway, that is about, I don't want to drag this out anymore. I would highly suggest that you start weaning yourself off of social media and learn to do something with your hands except text. But I'm going to get going now. I am going to go scratch around on the potato patch, see what's going on, and plant some more cukes.
All right, that sounds like a plan, buddy. By the way, just one thing before you go.
Yeah.
Did you see where Japan, the largest holder of our debt, is considering dumping it all?
I thought the rumor was they had begun, but no. Yes, I did see some squeaks. See some squeaks about that. But but the entire world right now is involved in de-dollarization.
Yes, they are. So everything's coming home to roost.
Back. Right. It is. It is. Yeah. So anyway, how about a prayer then?
You or me?
Me.
Go
Why?
for it.
Why you want to do one? Go ahead.
Not really, Rick. I'm hurting so bad I can't think straight. And I prayed that we would do a good show before we started. Sorry about that. Let me shut this thing off. Okay, sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah. All right. All right. Holy Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him. We humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all of the other evil spirits who wander through the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Thank you, Rick.
Fade
As
to black.
always, very appropriate.
Watch it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next Saturday. This one's supposed to air Saturday the 16th, and it will. It will be uploaded today. I will find an interview to do midweek. If I can get it at the right time, Rick might even be able to join me. So, folks, I hope you have a good one. Please have a fun and safe week. Please pray for us because we're praying for you. Bye-bye, folks.